No way, man. No way. I don't believe that chart. It can't go that high. No way.
CryptoSlo, cryptocurrency news and investing.
CryptoSlo with more crypto gains. What's going on, guys? Tonight's video is very special and dear to my heart, and that is my Bitcoin price prediction for 2020 and 21 moving on. As we're leading up to the halving, there's all kinds of speculation and charts and this and that and analysis and TA, and the reality is historic correlation does not always mean causation. So you kind of have to take a lot of this stuff with a grain of salt. And let me just say, this is just my personal opinion of what I think Bitcoin will do in the near future. Now, keep in mind, I really wasn't sold on a lot of these different theories up until recently. I came across this article, and I was kind of blown away by it, actually, and I thought it was best to share that and why I think it had the most probability of all the different types of analysis that I've read and looked at on Bitcoin. And everybody likes to talk about, just where will Bitcoin go. So let's get right into it. So first and foremost, we have the kind of linear regression model that you see. It's happening. This is a popular chart, and basically you just see the pumps after the halving are on the way up. And the only problem I have with this chart is the time periods are a little sporadic. So after basically the halving, the number of days it takes for it to surge to an all-time high, typically it's just all over the place. Now, with that in mind, that is an important day to mark on your calendar, and that is May 14th, 2020. We did have the Litecoin halving, and not really much happened with it, so it really wasn't too exciting. There was a run-up right before it happened, but on this one, this time back in 12 to 13, you had the halving, and then you had a really fast run up, and then on this time in 16 it was a little slower. So I don't know what to say about it. I mean, basically, according to this chart, it's basically saying that it's going to go up, but it really doesn't give you an idea of specific values that you could be gunning for. So let's look at the next chart, and that would be the straight linear regression chart. So based on this chart, you see up into 20. This isn't really the halving chart. This is the logarithmic regression chart, just basically by itself. It's putting Bitcoin in this upper region of 80, maybe 80k ish. But once again, there's really no method to madness on this other than it's going up. So while I do say it's a cool model, it's the fact that sometimes when you have models, they're superimposed over history, and then they're made once again to be correlation, but that isn't necessarily going to tell you just where it's going to be. It's just kind of traveling on a line, and it's always going up. So there's really no scientificness to it, which brings us to this amazing article which I came across, and it's called the golden ratio multiplier. Now, if you are familiar with the golden ratio, it's basically rounded about 1.6, and it is correlated to the Fibonacci sequence. So if you're not familiar with the Fibonacci sequence, basically it's a set of numbers which occur in nature. And let's just go ahead and Fibonacci, okay? Basic explanation, okay? a set of numbers that starts with 1 or 0 followed by a 1 and proceeds based on a rule that each number called a Fibonacci is equal to the sum of the two preceding numbers. Okay, so let's see if this gives us a basic, it's got to load its adds. But basically 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5. So basically you get the idea there. Let's actually go to an image here and a little more basic. Here we go. This is a good basic chart. So you can see it's 1 plus 1 is 2, 1 plus, so then you take that number and then add it to the previous number, it's 3, and then the sequence goes on forever. But you're like, well, that's fantastic. How does that have anything to do with anything? It has a lot to do with everything. These Fibonacci sequence appears multiple times in nature, with how plants grow, just psychology, and it basically, you can do more research on the fib, but basically what we're talking about today is how the fib goes into the price of Bitcoin. So first and foremost, let's look at this 350-day moving average of Bitcoin price. Now, and historically, all the way to the back, any time that the actual price of Bitcoin has gone over the 350-day moving average, it's signaled a bull run. And this has been consistent as you go back. So basically in this chart, the orange line is the 350-day and the blue line is the actual BTC price. So you can see the cross here. Now this one wasn't confirmed. Cross here, it's confirmed bull run. Then it crosses back down, down, crosses again, mega bull run, tops out, back down. And that brings us to here where we can see the cross. So based on the historic 350-day moving average versus Bitcoin actual price crossover, it is the signal of an upward trend. So that puts us in a good position already. Now, keep in mind, we did have that dip, but I think that was price manipulation. You could wait for it to extend past the line a little bit, just so you know it's not a fake out. But based on this, it was a solid cross. So that is the probability metric 1, is the 350-day moving average has been crossed by the BTC price, signifying the start of an upward trend. So now let's move down to this ratio. So the golden ratio is 1.6, and that's basically a divisor factor of these numbers. So now this is where it gets very interesting. So you can basically start stacking these 1.6 lines on the graph, okay, and these basically are significations of pullbacks and upward trends, upper bowl, lower bowl, as you can see on this chart. But let's keep going down to see where it gets more and more interesting. So you keep stacking these layers, okay? And the layer would be the Fibonacci number 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, and you're stacking that golden ratio, and that basically creates this bunch of bands that sit on top of the price, okay? Now, let's just keep going. Upper bowl, okay, keep going. All right, now this is where it gets really interesting. So if we move all the way out to the highest line point, that is basically a fib of 21, that Bitcoin has never broken in the history. It's never broke. The top has never broken that 21x fib factor. Okay, so let's look down and see where the pattern has started. Okay. Okay. And this is where it all kind of comes together. So if you take the 350-day moving average with the bands of the Fibonacci series, basically Bitcoin has been on this super strong pattern of moving backwards down the Fibonacci series. So the 2011 top was a 21 band of the fib. So that means taking the price of the 350-day, that means that its maximum extension, it was 21 times the 1.6 golden ratio, higher than, that's where the top was of that band of the run. So what makes this really interesting is the next top was a 13 fib multiplier, and that was moving around here. Then we had an 8 in the 2014, okay? And then we had a 5 in the 2018. So basically, you take the band, the higher band of the top for that run was 5. So what probabilistically, especially with the importance of the Fibonacci series in nature, what do you think the next series will be? Now, keep in mind these time frames kind of jump around a little bit. So you could say that the time frame is getting longer, but then it was 2 years, 1 year, then 4 years. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint that, but here is what the magic is. The 350 DMA moving average times the 3 band is most likely, with a higher degree of probability, in my opinion, based on this natural set of numbers, will be the top, the next top. So what does that mean? That means at any given time you would take the price and you would apply that ratio of the 1.6 times 3, and that will be the top for it. Now, that could vary depending on how long we trade sideways, because you see we had a peak, then a real long drag, and quick peak, and then this super long bear draw out, you know, the crypto winter as we call it. So, and then now we're back at that 10,000 range. This we're still not to a number yet. We're still not to a number. You just have to look at, and what does this tell you? This tells you a really good thing, actually. This doesn't necessarily tell you the top price, but it tells you the top price of when you should probabilistically sell on the next bull run. So if you look at this time frame and this extension, you on the 350, so that's really the important. So this orange line is 350 day. So let's say that's not 350 day. Let's say it's 9,000. Okay. Okay, 9,000. And then you have the 3x multiplier, and so right now it puts Bitcoin probably at about, let's say if it was at the top, let's say 9,000 times 3 times 1.6 puts it at about 43,000. So based on today's price, the golden ratio would set Bitcoin at about 43,000. But what you have to keep in mind is, as the 350 day moves along, okay, if it keeps trending upwards, that puts the maximum band higher. So if you wanted to do, basically what I would like to do is take this chart, extrapolate it out, and then your peaks, like I said, are going to be that DMA times DMA times 3. So actually it would be about 27,000. I had that math wrong. So based on today's price, about 27,000. So if we keep trading sideways and this keeps going up, this will stretch out the potential for Bitcoin. But what you're looking for is that divergence from the 350. When this hits that 3x factor off the 350, okay, then you probably should sell, because as you can see, it's very rapid decline when it hits that fib, that magic fib number. So as today, we're trending at about 30,000. So what have we established so far? We've established that the let's see. Alright, so here is an actually a little more updated golden ratio chart, and you can see this is what I was talking about by these different fibs. So blue is the close price, and then our layers here are the different levels, and I'll leave a link to this golden ratio chart down below. So as you can see, see how these bands top out, how the band tops out, how the band tops out. So you can continue to trade sideways. This is the unknown part of Bitcoin. You can continue to trade sideways on an upward trend, okay? But what you're really looking for is any time that Bitcoin maxes out on these bands. So specifically, you can see it's the aqua band, okay? This one right here, that's the fib 3, okay? And then that was 17, so it already happened. See how it hit the fib 5 right here? So the next pump would have to touch the fib 3, okay? And it hasn't done that yet. So you can see here, we're still under the fib 3 right here, okay? So my advice to you is to track this golden ratio chart for long-term gains to be locked in. So as we continue to trade sideways, if we have this continued upward trend, that is our MA350, the potential to pop to the fib 3 line, which is this aqua green looking thing, is basically what you're watching for, and that is the max out price on that run based on the Fibonacci series. So yeah, so very, very, very interesting. Let's see, there was one other thing I was going to talk about. Oh, and then of course we had the stock to flow, which shout out to people that have dropped this. So looking at the stock to flow, this is basically your supply over your locked supply over what is being produced every day. And based on this chart, it basically puts Bitcoin in this area in 2020. So what have we established? We've established that any time the 350 goes over the anytime the price of Bitcoin goes over the 350-day moving average, that it's the start of a bull run. The golden ratio, based on the Fibonacci sequences for the last 4 cycles, has nailed it dead on. And the Fibonacci series has gone backwards, starting at 2113.85. The next Fib series to hit would be 3, and we have not hit that yet. We hit the Fib 2, but not the Fib 3. So it's going to violate the laws of nature if that is happening. Now, more importantly than the halving, the stock to flow ratio shows as the supply of Bitcoin is reduced, you're going to get that price jump, okay? And stock to flow puts it at around in this area. So what is my final call on Bitcoin for 2020 moving into 2021? And that is a minimum of 100K. 100K. That is my price prediction for Bitcoin this year and moving into 2021. So I'll leave the links below to some of these cool things, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. The Bitcoin stock to flow, it's called the golden ratio over here on your left. It's a little more detailed because I like how they've layered the fib numbers for you, and you can see, like I said, clearly we have not hit the fib 3 yet, so Bitcoin is still moving. So hope you enjoyed tonight's video. Please leave comments or questions below. Like I said, 100K, that is my prediction. It is February 20th, 2020. And this is CryptoSlo. If you're not talking gains, then we're not talking.